Hello, my name is Kevin and welcome to the Love Decanters channel. So this is my third film where I'm going through the shelves on at the Stourbridge Glass Museum. Yes, get it right. And yeah, so this video, actually there isn't as much in it from the shelves. There's more from the fill-ins that I do in between. And yeah, I have to say, in this film, at one point I do veer off at a different angle, and so when I'm making my films I do a lot of side research and sort of stuff like this, and I spend a lot of time, and sometimes when I'm actually filming I notice something that I'm looking at and I'll come back and look at it afterwards and everything, and yeah, so I spend a lot of time looking at stuff other than just filming or, you know, whatever. But this time I noticed something and I just fell into a rabbit hole with it, and I just thought, no, I need to film this and show it because it's a story that I know, and yeah, I just wanted to follow through on something that was nothing to do with, kind of nothing to do with the piece of glass that I was started on that journey with. So yeah, it is what it is. But anyway, with that said, let's get on and have a look at some glass. So here's a shelf that really attracted me because, one, I know I've seen this one in the books. Look at that, really nice. So that's a reference piece. For Stevens and Williams. It's got a date here down here, just below 1897, but also this here, this little Fingerball and plate, because I own one. Ooh. And look how lovely that is. Glow in the dark piece. And look at the big huge piece in the back behind it. That's James Powell's son as well. It's engraved. The Song of Solomon around the top. With a huge piece of uranium. And we've got a multicolour piece of stuff there. So yeah, that's a nice shelf there with some really nice things in it. We're looking at a page from the book British Glass, 1800 to 1914 by Charles Hajdemach, and ta-da, this is the decanter that we were looking at. It says it's from the Michael Parkington collection. And I've been back through the Michael Parkington collection auction catalogues, and it's not there. So it must have been bequested to the museum back in the 1990s. 1997 would be about when. So yeah, so I think this is the exact same one we were looking at. This book, I think, was first printed in 1995. I bought it as a new book. So yeah. Anyway, there it is, and we've got an engraver here, Joshua Hoggarts at Stevens and Williams circa 1897, and it looks like he did both. So he did the Cameo one, where you're basically cutting away and leaving a picture in relief, and an intaglio one where you're cutting into it to create a picture. So yeah, two skilled at both techniques here. Here's another piece that was in the shelves there. This is still in the British Glass book by Charles Hajdemach, and yeah, it's this, only this is black and white. It was a straw opal little vase. I think this is a vase. Yeah, it must be a vase. It's made a bit like a gluck-gluck, where you've got these little tubes running down the outside here, but just completely open top as opposed to closing it up and making it into a decanter. And the date they've got on is 1880, James Powell Whitefriars, which is what I expected, because there's lots of different people make this type of glass, but they have a different look to them, and some of them are similar, some of them are the same, if you know what I mean. but it did have a very white frizzy look with it to it. Very thin glass with this white streak running through it here and very pale yellow. I think, yeah, it looked white friars, so I can't find. I did look in the White Friars book and I couldn't find it. So anyway, there you go. So next we're going to look at the little blue opaline Fingerball, and I do own one, and it's on my website. So if we go in to manufacturers, White Friars, pre-1900 tableware, scroll down, scroll. Here we go. Here it is. So I've got two. We've got a patent number 834, and designed by probably designed by Harry Powell, because that's probably what the book says. Circa 1877 to 1910, which is big window. And I've got two book references, which is both of the main books. Arthur James Powell's and some by Leslie Jackson, and the other one is the Museum of London one with Wendy Evans' name on it. And then there it is. Isn't it lovely? So yeah, and this is blue opaline. The other one, the other vase we're looking at before was the straw, which is basically yellow, and you can see it has the same look to it with this white line running through it. The white line on the plate is a bit wider. One of the things, these white lines are created by once the glass is kind of like being made into the whatever it is you're going to make, and it's still on the pontil stick, they start to reheat it, and it creates this, at a certain point you get this white line appear, and it's the temperature creeping up the side of it. And so what they will do is they'll hold it in and watch the line run up the side of the thing, and then pull it out again and stop it where it is at the point when they pull it out. It's a bit hit or miss, so the white lines are not always in exactly the same place on every one. You might find one that's a bit up here, a bit down here, etc., etc. If you look at this one here, it's got two, both really quite thick, and as I said, because it's a bit hit or miss, there's no accuracy to this. Well, yeah, in fact, it's got three here. There's one on the shoulder, and it's really about how controlled the blower is when they're, putting it in and out of the furnace. And yeah, it's not 100%. So like this one with this white line here, sometimes they're up here, sometimes they're a little bit lower. And sometimes they're a bit fainter than this, and it's all just variations from the process of just holding something in the mouth of the furnace and watching the glass change and pulling it out at the right moment. That's how it's done. Pretty certain I've seen this in the books, and I think it's Thomas Webb. Let me look down. Yes, Thomas Webb. And what surprises me is how big they are. It's difficult to see, but yeah, even with perspective of my hand, they're about 8-9 inches tall. I was a little bit surprised at that. So this is a book called British Glass Between the Wars, edited by Roger Dodson. It's by Dudley Museum Services, so yeah. So this is local glass. Now, these two pieces here look like, Thomas Webb. This must be Thomas Webb too, but no, not quite. So number 265 in the catalogue is listed as Thomas Webb and Sons, Stourbridge, 1930s, Cameo Fleur, blah blah blah, marked Webb. Number 268 is listed as Edinburgh and Leith Glassworks, early 1930s, Cameo Fleur, blah blah blah, honeysuckle, blah blah blah, marked E&L Edinburgh Crystal. So Yes. So actually, this one is the same as the green one that we were looking at, and in the book, this is listed as Broadfield House Glass Museum, which is actually where this museum used to be. So this is exactly the same one. The blue one wasn't there, so they weren't. I didn't see it out. It might be out somewhere else, or I might not have filmed it. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, it's one of those things where you go, oh, you see this style, and you think, yeah, Thomas Webb. But clearly, at least Edinburgh and Leith were doing exactly the same styles, which really then drives you back to what book references can I find, because you know the way they're made looks very similar. In fact, they probably are made in the same way. It's just the pattern that's different. Now, let's get on, because I've got another reference which shows you how it's made. So this is a page from the book 20th Century British Glass by Charles Hajdemach. And yeah, it has this feature here that's showing you, I mean, we've got these two vases here. They're completely different shapes, but if you look, it's the same pattern. Can you see? See, it's like three leaf, one here and here. There it is again. So even the shape doesn't tell you that it's not Edinburgh and Leith, because they've got the same pattern here twice, both Thomas Webb in different shapes. So anyway, let's get on and have a look at this interesting technique. So when I think of Cameo glass, I think of, or cased glass when they're doing flashing, is they get their blob of one colour glass and then they dip it into another colour, so you get your two layers and you blow it out and blah blah blah. So they don't do that here, not quite like that. So they don't have two pots of molten glass with different colours in. What they have is a cup of coloured glass. So they have a molten blob of clear glass, which is the way this is made, or not a blob, actually it's a blown, so they have a blown bubble of clear glass. Okay, then they have a glass cup in a different colour and they dip the molten bubble into the cup and it should fuse together. If it's hot enough, they probably then put it back into the furnace to properly fuse the two together. Really interesting. So why would they do that? And the only thing I can think of is that because you're using a cup where you know the thickness of the glass, you're actually getting an even thickness. So if you dip the glass into another pot, as the glass expands, you get thicker and thinner parts depending on where it's expanding, which means that where the glass expands the least, you get thicker glass. And when you're doing Cameo glass, that means you have to cut through more or level it down in some way so that you can do your Cameo. With this technique, you're starting off with something that's blown almost to the shape that it's going to be, and then you can fuse it together with something that's roughly the right size as well. And then what you do is you blow it into a mold. So they have something that's probably almost this size. This is the mold they're showing you here. I think that's a three-parter. Or four. Yeah, it's a three-parter. So you blow it into this mold, and all of these little bits that stick out and everything would come out, and you end up with, it's showing you here, blowing it into the mold here, and it comes out like this. Then you cut the top off when it's cooled, and you end up with something like this. Then what they do is they put the bits that they want to remain the same color, they put something on to resist the acid that they're going to dip it into. It says here they use pitch, tallow and beeswax mixed up. They paint it on, okay, then you dip it into the acid. The rest of the glass, the green, is eaten away. You probably have to keep a careful eye on it to get it to where you want it to be. And then apparently they do it again with blobs to create the stippled effect on the surface, and then they finish it off on an etching wheel just to clean it up, I suppose. So that's how they're making those Cameo glasses, not in the way that we've seen it where someone sits there and literally just drills the surface of the glass away. They're using a mixture of acids, the fact that they're not double dipping in the same way. It's all a bit, I don't know, it's an unusual process. I've been through this bit before. I don't remember reading this bit, but it probably just went over my head at the time. But when you actually see it and you're just going, oh yeah, it's really unusual. So yeah, just the glass making process is so inventive. People are fiddling around and trying different tricks and things. I suspect this makes it a bit easier and cheaper to make Cameo glass. Still a fraught and difficult process, but probably not months of work to produce one piece. This is an interesting piece here. So I've seen it in more than one book, and yeah, it's from the 1930s. I think the name, I'm looking down there, yeah, Anna Fogelberg for Thomas Webb. Now, what really strikes me about this is that if you were in the shop today and saw that and thought, yeah, I'll have that little penguin bowl, it looks like it was made yesterday, the design, the style and everything, but it's from the 1930s. It's actually almost an antique. So we're looking at British Glass Between the Wars by Roger Dodsworth. And yeah, so this is the bowl we were looking at there. And it's from the 1930s. What I like about it is it's so out of place from the 1930s. It looks like something you could go down to some little boutique-y shop today and buy yourself a little bowl with a couple of penguins on it. Just looks like a modern design piece. And I've been trying to find out. So on here it tells you designed by Anna Fogelberg. Okay. And I've been trying to find out about who Anna Fogelberg is, what are her design credentials. What I found out is that Anna Fogelberg is the wife of Sven Fogelberg, who came from Costa to be the manager of Webb. And he also brought other glass makers from Sweden, Denmark and Bohemia, apparently. So he kind of brought new things into Webb. But there's no background on Anna Fogelberg. So she must be a designer from Sweden and probably for Costa. But other than that, I haven't found anything, which is a bit sad, because what she's doing here is kind of out of place, and I would really like to know a bit more about her. This is interesting. It's showing you how these Cameo Swan's Head perfume bottles are made. So you start with layers and layers, and so you've got the little interior layer, next layer, and the next layer is not going to focus, here we go, and then the final one. These are hugely expensive pieces. The final one sits in engraved and is Cameo. It's just amazing. And we'll see if we can find some and see what they sell for. I bet it's a huge amount. The Thomas Webb Glass Cameo Swan Head perfume bottle is probably a fairly iconic piece. It doesn't mean that they're common, they're quite rare, but also very collectible. People like them. And you can see they come in all different colours. Dun, dun, dun. And I thought, yeah, you've seen it, here it is. It is what it is. But let's look at prices for these kinds of things, because obviously these are quite time-consuming things to make. So I did this search, and we'll look at the prices of the Cameo Glass here. So I've got this one here. So this is at Sotheby's. The estimate is $3,000 to $5,000 US. Then I've got this one here. So this sold in 2022. Probably not a great time to sell things. So it sold for $2,805. Yeah. Oh, you got the dates here as well, 1884, because it's got hallmarked end on it. So that little stopper and everything is hallmark silver, I think. Is it hallmarked? By Sampson and Morden. Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. Sampson and Morden, very well respected silversmiths. The Queen and the King, I think, used to sort of like Queen Victoria and Edward afterwards used to buy silver from Sampson and Morden. They used to buy novelty things from Sampson and Morden to give away as gifts. So it is very collectible silver. So you've got that combination there of this iconic piece of glass. 2,800 seems cheap when you see some other prices later on. So going here, this one's at Saunders, still March 2022, still a very bad time to sell things. This sold for £3,100. What's the date on this? One's 1884 as well. Then let's go to First Dibs. We've got this one listed as sold. Does he have a year on it? Nope, don't see a year. But if you bought it, you would be able to work it out. And and this one is a 18 karat gold top by Sampson Morden. Again, this sold, and the price is gone here. So this is the list price, maybe not necessarily the price it sold for, was 19,341 and 14 pence. And then there's another, well, it's actually not actually a swan head, it's an albatross head. And it's on sale for 19,341 and 41 pence as well. So, yes. Does it say? Let me just see if it says who the silver's by. Oh, this one is by Parisian silversmith Gustave Keller. I don't know him. It's a French guy. So anyway, so here we go. Yeah, these prices vary. There is a big difference between auction prices and when you're buying it off a retailer. Theoretically, when you're buying it off a retailer, if it turns out to be not right, you can get your money back. At an auction, they're kind of giving you some sort of guarantee, but it's a bit of a buyer beware as well. And you get less with it. But anyway, First Dibs promise authenticity guarantee, money back guarantee, 24-hour cancellation. So that's what all of this is what you're paying extra for. But then you could buy like half a dozen and still be quids in. If you could find them at auction, that is. So going back to here, just wanted to look at the others. They had a bunch of other things on sale on eBay. Thomas Webb Cameo, and you can see there's different prices. So you kind of like 243 here. You've got 825, 1,900, 1,500. But you have this piece here for 10,315. 10,000. So let's go here, have a look at it. Will it expand? Yes. See. Now, I have looked at this first and I have something to show you on it. Yes. So, it's actually the first illustration in the book, The Hallmarks of Antique Glass by R. Wilkinson. And so I really like this book. It's a bit of a bargain, I think, if you're into this kind of glass, or into, you know, old glass in general. So it's not, here's it from 1968. I can't read what it says here, but yeah, so I have this book, so let's go and have a look at the book, okay, and see what it says here. There's a bit of a surprise here. So here we are with the page in the book. I photographed it rather badly, and what it tells you there is that the vase was carved by Frank Wilkinson. And Frank Wilkinson is the brother of Reginald Wilkinson, the author of this book. Now, he's one of my kind of heroes in a way. Or, I don't know if hero is the right word, but anyway, Frank Wilkinson invented the process for acid polishing glass commercially, and effectively something that might have, as it says in the book here, something that might have taken 6 hours to polish could be done in 5 minutes. Yeah, so I have a picture of him here. This book is dedicated to the memory of my brother Frank Wilkinson, 1879 to 1927. So yeah, he was only 30 when he died. And yeah, what it says in the book about him. So he invented the process, and then he carried out this polishing of large pieces for 9 of the local factories for nearly 12 months, when one by one they all established their own polishing plants. So they basically copied his process. The damage to his lungs by the fumes in this project was so serious that when he caught pneumonia in February 1927, he died within 4 days. So yeah, it's very, very sad. Especially, I mean, it says he's a brilliant technician, blah blah blah, an artist, engraver, cameo worker, and was able to run completely glass factory making and decorating glassware. So yeah, died too young, this chap. I think he also did some innovations in Cameo Glass as well. So yeah, the piece that we're looking at is done by him. I think it was finished after he died in 1928. And yeah, it's very sad. He's a very important person in the glass world. He changed the glass industry, glass cutting, in fact. So yeah, very sad, that story. Means a lot to me, especially as a piece of his glass is actually on sale today if you've got £10,000. So I hope you enjoyed that. The story of Frank Wilkinson is one that yeah, I've read it a few times in that book, and yeah, it makes me sad every time, but clearly very talented man. And yeah, but there is a little I suppose story to go with that, or warning: don't try and acid polish your own glass, because it will kill you. Yes, or it could kill you if you get it wrong. And is that worth it, just to try and polish a bit of glass? Leave it to the professionals, the people that know what they're doing, the people that follow the right processes. Trying to invent your own process at home, yeah, even with someone that's in the industry that's played with it, look what happened to him. Yes, don't do that. And so with that said, all the contact details for Stourbridge Glass Museum will be in the description below. All the references will be in the description below. And please remember to like and subscribe because it really helps my channel. And thank you for watching and have a good night. Good night.